Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I'm back working on my piece for the Roxy Journal of Stitchery, Wildflowers, and as you know I chose cow parsley to be my feature flower. I have stitched my background. In the last video I had realised that I wanted to undo some of the work I had done because I was busy yibby-yabbering away. I had stitched this blue thread down the one side of this little piece of blue fabric and decided I'd unpick it because this is raw, that was going to be raw, because the two pieces are together in my journal. So I just sort of wanted a little bit of continuity. So that's left open and it's just this little edge. The other thing I discovered when I finished filming is I had given myself a bit of an overhang, and that overhang needed to be trimmed back. So I ended up unpicking everything I stitched in that video and restitched that. So anyway, caught you back up. I haven't yet stitched the little flowers down. I just haven't got there yet to do that. That won't take long. That's a good little job another time. But what I want to do in today's video is get my cow parsley sketched in. So what I've got is my iron ready to go, heat pen. So yeah, it's time to have a sketch. I've had a look on Pinterest at cow parsley. I've had a look through some sketchbooks. I sort of feel like I've got my head around the plant. So I just want to now, let's get it into position. Excuse me. Oh, goodness me. So there's sort of these stems, and then we'll come down, get another stem happening. And then I'm going to do little French knots. There's leaves as well. And I'm thinking the leaves I'll do probably a lazy daisy. They've got like a little furry way about them, these little leaves. So the plan is to try and keep the leaf looking a little jagged. I thought the lazy daisy stitch might be my best friend there. And then these little guys at the end of all of these little branches are little possums, little blossoms. And I'm thinking, does that look like cow parsley? Where's my phone? I took some screenshots of some botanical drawings. Yeah. I probably could be more circular. So I might just do one here that's a little bigger and more circular. Yeah, that's a bit grander. And then I can really go to town with the spots, which will be French knots. And I did grab these little beads. They're tiny little guys. I don't know their size. Or what if I bead it? Yeah. And I had that. Maybe I do a combination of the two. Maybe a combination of the two might be too busy. We'll nut that out anyway. I can hear Fudgy snoring. He's deep in sleep, the dear little possum. So I'm just getting some leaves in position. I don't know if you guys can see all this. Can you see it? Yeah. As I said in the first video, I've never stitched cow parsley, but I've seen it done a few times with fine embroidery. It's just beautiful. And I haven't had a chance to play with it myself. I did have it in the back of my mind what am I doing there? That doesn't, they don't do that. It's not a flower. Let's try and be true to the plant, Corrine. My Nikki Franklin journal, I had some kits, and there's a couple pages spare in the journal. And in the back of my mind, I always felt like I could do a little cow parsley. I think there's 2 pages still in that journal that haven't been stitched. Like that plant, the leaf is too big. Just a little one, Corrine. Oh my goodness me. I just had a sneezing attack. Whoever that person was that said, stop clearing your throat. You'll be cringing again. I'm so sorry. There you go. That's better. Now, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 buds. I really should do another one. So maybe a little one there, just to soften. They don't go up like doing blooming daisies now. Will I bring in, oh, that's a mess. Concentrate on what you're doing, girl. I get sketchy, you know, once I get the general idea, I get sketchy, and then I could probably make it easier on myself by having more design elements there to stitch, but I'm like, oh, I've got it. It's all right. Carry on. Now it's about laying a few branches in over each other at different angles so it doesn't feel so childlike, the drawing. I don't mind that. Now, do I bring a lace in? I need a lace. I did grab my bucket of lace as I walked towards the desk. Excuse me. Okay, let's have a little look. It'd have to be fine. Maybe just a little bit of something. Just feel like we could do... No. Don't mind that. Just to pick up those whites and bring them down a little bit. Just a little piece. Yeah, I like that. It's from France, very old. Can you see? And I'm thinking I can nibble off this little piece here. Can you hear Fudgy snoring? He is out cold. And just put that on the ground there so it feels like it anchors the piece. Okay, so I might leave that off for now. Now I need a little tray to put my bits in. Might as well bring the flower tray into play. So I'll put that in there. So threads. Now I did mention in the last video that I wouldn't mind bringing this in, but it might not work because of the plant. It's actually green. Let's have a little look for a green. I think that's that one. Leave it there. Don't pull everything out. I've got to go with my greens. Hang on, guys. Let's have a little looky. This one was lying on my desk and is the one I used in there. It's actually not bad. Is there anything better? No, too yellow. Too dark. I'm going to stick with the one that was on my desk, which is the leftover from this one. I think if I bring another green, I've got, you know, interfering colours where we want them to feel like their pages are connected. Well, that's the plan anyway. Needle and thread. Here we go. What stitch are we going to do for, I'd like a nice big needle. What stitch are we going to do for the stems? Could couch the thread down. I'm thinking split back stitch. Let's get one down here done. Like so. I mentioned Nikki Franklin, and then probably some of you are like, who is that? She's an English embroiderer, and I was very privileged to meet her at a retreat I did a year or so ago in Victoria. She was the guest embroiderer, and she had her kits there, and she also spent time showing us stitches and her techniques, and she's just the sweetest, loveliest lady. She's just lovely. So I ended up coming back with a few kits and made a little journal, and there's a series of those videos, not showing you how to stitch the kits because, you know, go buy the kit, but it showed you how I put the journal together. And it was like a field notes type thing, you know. I sort of pared it back because her embroideries are tiny. It's just sitting over to the side of me. I might grab it. I believe there is one embroidery yet to do. And from memory, there are 2 spare pages. So the option was to either buy some more embroideries in the future or in the style of Nikki, do a little stitchery, and they're only tiny little stitcheries, and I just have not got back to it. I really do need to finish it, but they're so gorgeous and easy travel stitcheries that I haven't rushed it because I could just pick up the little kit that's not done, throw it into a suitcase, and I'd have a little embroidery with me, a little hoop. All the threads are there, wouldn't need to think too much. So yeah, it's probably why I haven't rushed it. Okay, split back stitch, 1 stem done. So I might end that off, and then we might have a look at these leaves and decide whether Lazy Daisy is the way I want to go. Got a little bit of thread there. We might as well use it. Okay. We'll start here and do our first little stitch. And once we nut this all out, I will be off and racing. 1. Do we do a stem or do we just stay with the leaves? I think I'm going to do a stem. And then where that stem, I'm just thinking, do I do another split back stitch? Yeah, I might. And get the stem down to here. I'm just talking to myself here, guys. I need to end that off because I've run out of thread. Okay. Alrighty, let's go again. Little knot. I might just bring the camera down a little bit. Got to be careful doing that because quickly you get out of focus, or not out of focus, out of the shot, because we might straighten our backs and lean back into our chairs, and then suddenly your hands move, and before you know it, you're out of the camera shot. I need to get a TV into my room too. I had it when I was in Brisbane, and it was so handy because the iPad, using a iTV device, which is just this little black box, I've got it sitting in the cupboard here, it just hasn't been installed. Using that little device, it can pick up what you and I are seeing on the iPad, and it flicks it up to the TV. So at a glance, I can glance up to the wall, or to that bookcase over in the corner there is where I plan to sit it, and see where my hands are at all times. Otherwise, I've got to straighten my back, sort of sit up a little bit and get a glimpse over the top of the iPad. And I sort of really found having it on a wall or on a bench in the distance, at a glance I could sort of get myself comfortable and see whether I was in shot. So I haven't been doing a lot of zooming in, so to speak, like I am now, because it always concerns me that I'm out of shot very easily. So yeah, it's just one of those things I need to set up. You get, when you move house, there's a lot to do. I might leave that little sprig at that. Kind of knot it off. Then I'm going to do the second sprig here. I think I'm liking this. Oh, need a knot. Need a knot. Then I need to start working on the little flowers, the stems that hold the blossoms, and then decide how are we going to do the blossoms. Are they going to be French knots, which is classic out there, or are those beads small enough and cute enough that maybe I use the beads? That'd be fun. Nothing like hours of stitching itty bitty beads onto something. Okay, there we go. Connecting. Yep. Now I might, while I'm down here at the stem, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to shoot up here and connect this little guy. So if you're new to all this business and you're wondering why isn't she using a hoop, well, you can. If you had a little hoop and you felt like it gave a little stability to your work, go for it. But because there's a bit of thickness here, the wadding and the fabric, I sort of feel like between the tension of this finger and the thumb, it's sitting reasonably stable, and I'm trying hard not to pull my threads too tight because that will quickly pucker your fabric. So I'm trying just to relax. And I got enough to do a little stitch at the end, a little lazy daisy. But yeah, I think the secret is to have a few layers of fabric. And of course, we tend to collage a background before we start putting our work on top, our stitching. So that gives you those layers. And if you have a little piece of wadding, like I've got here, it's only thin, only because it's going into a journal. If it was a wall hanging, I'd probably choose a cotton batting or bamboo or wool or something to give it a little bit more stability. But when it's in a journal, I try and just keep it, thin. Okay, I'm happy with the way this is going so far. now I'll start back over here and then see where we go. Let's get some more lazy daisy stitches in here. It's a good little flower actually to stitch, this one, especially if you're a beginner, because it's a very stylized looking plant anyway. There's not a lot to the little plant. You've got these little leaves which could be represented in a few different ways, and I've just chosen a lazy daisy stitch, classic stitch you learn when you're a kid. Given myself a little stem for them to connect to. Keep it a little bit angled so it looks like the wind's sort of moving them a little bit. A bit of fluid feeling to it. Less is probably more with this plant. It's very stick-like. It's my observations. Do I need another little leaf? I will. I love the fabric behind. Hasn't that worked well? It's like giving the impression there's a field there and they're in the distance. And we've got this little clump of I'm still not sure what I'm doing in my other journal. I have lavender in the front yard. I'm so tempted to do that as well because I've planted a few varieties I've never planted before. One's a purple, really purple. It's called Purple Rain. And the other one, I can't remember the name, but it's white. I've shown you pictures in previous videos and I thought, ooh, Rachel's Field of Lavender. When I was watching her video, I'm like, oh gosh, I haven't stitched lavender for ages. And there's so many different ways of stitching lavender. It's actually, there's some really clever ways of laying your threads down in stitches to create it. So half of me is like, do a lavender study and use different stitches to create different versions of lavender, because I've got two versions in my garden. And then I thought, well, in the future, if I ever do a bigger piece and I have lavender in my mind, I can go to the journal, pull it out and have a look at what I did to create lavender and potentially do a bigger project with it. So I was thinking this ground cover that's just outside my fence line in the sand. I keep coming back to this lavender. I think I would probably enjoy that more, I guess, playing with stitch to create different versions of the one plant. So nearly a field note sketch, but exploring ways of getting lavender down on your page. So that's where my head's at the moment, but I've got time, no rush. Let's just get the cow parsley sorted, girl. Because I'm still thinking lavender. The top of the lavender, there's those little petals. That's perfect for ribbons. You could do those little ribbon stitches to create that little element. And then you could do bullion knots, you could do lazy daisies, you could do French knots in it. Oh, it's got to be lavender. See, I knew once I started yapping to you guys, I'd talk myself into something. Let's have a look at these. Now, I need to grab my phone and have a look at a photo of this stuff because it looks very straight and lineal, these little pieces. Yeah, they are. It's very, oh, there's a little bit of movement, I guess. Okay. I just don't know if I want it straight like that. Oh yeah. It's not too big of a stitch, girl. Well, that's easy. She says, until it goes pear-shaped. So just some nice, simple, straight stitches. Really is about working out the stitch that really helps the flower come alive. And, you know, when your brain suddenly goes, oh yeah, that looks like a... And sometimes if the stitch is not right, you can look at your piece and go, you know, that is not a dragon, snapdragon or something. And it might be the stitch you used. I feel like I don't need another stitch. I'm getting a bit pinwheely. Back it up. Where's that going? Might leave it at that. Let's have a play with knots, beads, all of the above. Could do a combination, could do some with that, some without. Let's leave that pin there. Grab another. These are chenille needles with a nice big eye so I can hold these threads. If I do knots, actually I should probably go to a milliner's needle because that has got a bit of shape about it. So I might actually rethink that choice and go more for a milliner's needle. So when I do my French knot or colonial knot, come on thread. You know, I think this thread's actually going to be too chunky. By the time I get a few knots there, I think it'll look too big. Hang on, back it up. What about this? This is a number 12. Yeah, it's a 12, yeah, just a crew 12 finer. Okay. I think that would have made a big lumpy knot, and this is quite fine. And if this little knot works, don't put a knot there, girl. Put a knot at the end of the... With these beads, we'll see. Okay. Just a little guy. Yep. Yep, yep, yep. Hey, Fudgy. He's up. Yeah, great size. Love it, love it. So I guess the question now is, do I mingle beads in with this, or do I go elsewhere on another sprig and do beads? Right, keep it radiating out from the green stitch. They seem to be like little nearly pom-poms. And I've lost my thread. I'm getting excited, so I'm getting heavy-handed with my stitching. Yes, love it. Well, I can see more of this cow parsley in the future. I've always admired it. Just never had a piece that was dainty enough, I guess, for it. It's always been roses and, you know, heavy stitching like this. And I wanted this piece to feel a little bit finer. Yep, that's great. So I think radiating little clusters of knots, if I try and keep the knots in a circular fashion but then radiating out, I think it will work a treat. Now, yes, Fudge, I know, Mum's thinking here. I'm going to just finish that off. And I'm going to pick up those beads and let's make a decision how I work those into the piece. So there's my milliner's needle holding my thread for that. Meow meow, Fudgy. So let's get Reg. Here he is. A little bit of sewing machine cotton. You can use beading thread and all of the palaver that can go with it, but hey, we're not making a wedding dress. Don't need it. There's all sorts of threads out there that can be used for beading, but it's just another thing to have in your arsenal. So I just never got into it. I tried a few different things back when I started the channel, and I was like, you know, that's just another thing I've got to remember. And as Grandma would say, the beads need to be held on tight. He's going to jump up, Fudgy. So that a bride's arm doesn't rip little beads off of her bodice. Gosh, I hope all that was on camera. That'd be disappointing. And she didn't use anything special. She just used her cotton from the sewing, but she put 2 stitches in everything. So I sort of have gone down that track. Maybe a commercial seamstress mass-produced wedding dress might use a stronger thread. I'm just guessing. And, you know, 1 stitch and away they go, but they're using more of a polymer thread or synthetic thread. Oh, I'm liking this. Am I even in camera? Oh my goodness. I apologise if I'm not. I'm going to sort this TV out in my room. That's my next job. You know, just slowly work through hanging pictures on walls and finding all the cushions for the couch and getting everything positioned and, yeah. Yes, Fudge. And then I can comfortably stitch at a glance, see that my hands are where they need to be. Yeah, this is good. I'm going to do a mix. It really makes it pronounced but not too heavy because of the beads. And I think I only need a few. Yeah. That is going to work a treat, guys. So there's my little combination. Bring that up so you can see. See the little mix. I think it'll make it quite interesting. A few beads, a few knots. There's another one there. Do I have that green thread? Let's get a little, put the lid on the beads, girl. Into the bucket. Let's get the green sprig here sorted. I'll get Fudgy. The door's closed. You can see Gaz on the other side of it. He wants to go and visit him. He's having a bit of a grizzle. He's been over to my leg and given me a smooch. Now having more breakfast, so you guys get a running commentary on what the fudge does. Now concentrate here, girl. You don't need a lot of stitches. It's only a little flower. But that's good because then the knots and the beads can drift over that main stem to soften it. So now let's do a little back stitch, split back stitch to connect it down to this little shrub. There we go. It's just a itty bitty one. Now I might just touch that with the iron to get rid of my marks. Not that they were there heavy. I never draw heavily with those pens because they can come back in a cold environment. You can look at your work and you can just see a faint line. So I guess the tip is don't go heavy-handed with the pen, so that way you can iron it away and it's less likely to come back. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be really good. Happy with that. Oh, I know. I want to get this on. This little morsel across the bottom here. How did I have it? Not that it really matters. Just see what I like now. Sort of feel like it was like that. Oh, I'm overthinking it. Just stitch it on. All right. Got another regional here. Sometimes just twisting it, you know. Oh, I'm overthinking it. Just stitch it down, girl. It'll just anchor the piece, I think. So just some little invisible stitches. Let's get that into position. And then what I'll do before I say goodbye is I'll grab that Nikki Franklin journal. So for those of you who haven't heard of Nikki, there's a rabbit hole you can go down. And you might even get some inspiration for some different pieces that you might, or techniques that you might want to work into your work. Like, she really studies flowers, so you might find, you may have even been looking at her work anyway. She's very prolific on social media with her work. Just a couple little stitches. Easy. Just a little morsel, a little French morsel. I like how it's all thready and ratty looking. Sort of feels like it could be grassy, you know. Fudgy, I'm nearly done, darling. We'll go sit on the couch and stitch for a bit, hey? Have a bit of fudgy time. He's bumping my leg. Yeah, he's feeling a lot better since his escapades that I told you about. Oh, he's going back to bed now, which is probably a good thing. He still looks very stiff and sore. It's coming up to a week now, so yeah, at the end of the day, he's an old boy. He's nearly 18 now. And gallivanting through scrubland at the back of our house is not recommended for a fudge. He should be in retirement. So he's just had something to eat. He's had a drink of water. And he's just climbed back into his bunk. That's good. I'd actually like to mow the grass today, so sitting with Fudgy on my lap's not getting grass mowed. So if I can sneak out of here at the end of this video and he can nap for the day, it'd be a good thing. He's certainly walking a lot better, but he's still got that real stiff gait about him. And the front shoulder, I think, is very tender too, from when he probably jumped down to the backyard behind the house. He went missing. If those of you are just tuning in going, he accidentally got locked outside. It was a miscommunication. And the fudge spent a night out in the front yard, we believe just sleeping in the sugarcane mulch. And then when the sun came up, he's probably gone looking for a way to get back in for breakfast and has got himself turned around a bit. And we found him at the back of the block where the national park meets our back boundary. So it was a tense hour, thinking we'd lost the fudge, feeling the guilt. And it was a combination of hubby and I not communicating, and the fudge was caught in the middle of the roller door up, roller door down business. So he's had a few days convalescing. He's heaps better. But, you know, when you're 18 in pussycat world, one needs to be careful. Such things, a bit of hypothermia, and it would knock him. But he's okay. He's got 22 lives, we reckon we've counted. There we go. Yeah, it's a bit puffy there, but I think it'll settle down once I start stitching. Yeah, I might come through with some invisible stitches in there. Just to pull it down. Like there's lots of knots coming. It's not like it's not going to hold. But I might just quickly do that. Let me zoom up a little bit now. You don't need to have the chance of me slipping in and out of the camera. Gosh, I hope I've been on camera. You guys are busy stitching anyway and just listening. You probably didn't even notice. Apologise to the newbies who are watching eagerly, trying to pick up tips and hints. All right, that's just a little stitch in there to use that thread. So we've got that. There's the needle for that. There's a reg, and there's the green guy. All right, so there's my basket of tricks and some scissors. I think that's going to come together nicely. All right, now let me grab my Nikki Franklin. Okay, it's further afoot than I thought. I'll just pause the video and I'll find it and bring it over, guys. Back in a moment. Okay, I got it. So this is the little journal. Now this little book has a bit of history. It belonged to my grandmother, Mabel Miller, and she was in grade 6. And on the 13th of December 1935, she was given this little book at the Chelmsford State School, little country school where I grew up, near a town near where I grew up, by I think that's an I.M. Rooney was her teacher. So when I started journaling, that's coming off of there, might as well repair it. When I started journaling, I did one of those books where we were gluing all the pages together. Oh, there's a little magnet in there. Gluing all the pages together to create like a journal. And I did the project using this book, and I had photos all through it of Dad and his family and his brother, and you know, and it was just gorgeous, but it was so chunky and stiff. It was just terrible. So the book sat on the shelf as won't be making one of those again. So I'd say I used too much PVA glue, or I don't know. It's where you stick all the pages together, and you know. And I was disappointed because I did cut this window out and made this little window, and it was an Ellison. Don't do that. I just glued it. Give it a chance to dry, girl. Yeah, I just used this gorgeous book, which I'd had since I was a kid, to create this journal. I was so disappointed with it. Anyway, it sat for 2 years on the shelf, and then this slow stitch business come along, and I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to pull out the yucky book. I got to keep this, and Nikki Franklin's work ended up going in here. So it in turn became a stitchery journal. So I managed to save the book, and it's such a treasure. It was, yeah, so pleased. So in Nikki's classes, we learned all sorts of little stitches. There was a sampler I did, which is still in the cupboard, and I've never really worked that into a project yet. But I picked up some of her kits, and these are the little pieces that I stitched. Just put some little soft morsels around the place so it didn't overpower the work, because it's very fine. I'll bring that up to the camera. Isn't it just beautiful? Now, seed packet, potting shed. See, I put her artwork from one of the kits on the back cover. So the series was the potting shed, and I picked up a few of the embroideries from that series. This one is the one I haven't done, and it's going here. So the story is my love of flowers, and you then grab your packet of seeds, and in Nikki's kits you get really good instructions. You get all the threads you need, and she's pre-printed the little piece of fabric with the image on it. So they're just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So the plan was I'd created, when I selected all of them, I was trying to tell the story of getting your flower seeds ready, planting them, picking them, harvesting, display them. Because if you flip to the back, the piece we did in the course was this, a bunch of flowers in a vase. So that's sort of how the idea came to be in my head, that the little journal would be the story. So my love of flowers, the packet of seeds would go there. Now, every good garden needs bees to pollinate. So there was a little stitchery that was the bees. Daisy. Pick your flowers, pop them in a cart, take them up to the house, create a bunch of flowers. I have a space for something, and then that bunch of flowers ends up in a vase in your window. So that's sort of how this little journal came to be. So my thought was I either find 2 more kits that could go in here, and I haven't looked at her site for a little while, so there might be some new designs out that maybe there's something here, or I have a go at inserting a Corrine piece here. We'll see. But they're just gorgeous. See that cow parsley? I could do a little cow parsley here, but we'll see. And I just sort of put little bits of fabric around. So I guess, you know, if you're someone who's got some little embroideries that you've never finished and they're sitting in your cupboard, pull them out, because you might be able to use a couple of them and then bring some of your own work into it to create yourself a little journal in a little book that means something. So there you go. Gosh, the memories, that feels like forever ago. I'll put in the comments below, in the description below, a link, because I'm pretty sure they're in a playlist all about Nikki Franklin. So if you wanted to go back in time and watch some of my earlier videos where I look at this, you're very welcome to. All right, guys, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to leave you in peace and go and start my day. I better go mow that lawn, and then I can stitch my cow parsley later. All right, I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye.